Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to today's masterclass on what industry is best when transitioning to business analysis or to project management. So just before we start the session, I can see some people on the call. I want us to take a moment to invite people we think can benefit from this session in any way. So invite your colleague, invite your friend, invite your sister, anyone you know is trying to get into business analysis or project management, but they don't know how to start or how to even go about it. So let's make sure we share the link to this session with them and try to get them all on the call. Okay? I am going me. Are we shy? I actually need everyone. I need everyone to put their name and their chat and their location in the chat box. So just tell me where your name is.
I think we lost you at some point.
It looks like we have a lot of shy people on the call today. Okay, fantastic. Can you hear me clearly now?
Perfect.
Okay, great. I see Kingsley from Texas. Anyone else? It's actually really quiet. Okay, I see Dorcas from Nigeria. I see Kunle from Lagos. Anyone else? Come on, guys. Come on, come on, come on. You're killing my vibe. Okay, I think we can just go ahead to start. All right, so let's kickstart this session with a little introduction, okay? So who are we at Analytics and how do we do what we do? Analytics is a leading edtech company focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and delivering comprehensive data consulting services. With over 4 years, actually almost 5 years, building the talents for the technology workforce, we've been able to help over 2,900 professionals with zero prior knowledge in tech transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across the UK, the US, Canada, Europe, Africa, and also Asia as well. Now, we are committed to making the technology sector more accessible for the Black community through premium experiential training in data analytics, in business analysis, in data engineering, in data science, in financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management and Scrum Master, cybersecurity, and finally, AI engineering. Now, we have a wonderful, wonderful team of instructors from leading global companies like PwC, McKinsey, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, and they bring a wealth of real-world experience and are dedicated to delivering an engaging and practical learning experience that ensures that you receive the maximum value from your investments with us in your future. All right, so in October 2024, we got into the Alberta Catalyzer Velocity Program. Now, I want us to put in the chat box, if this is your first ever masterclass with Analytics, please put a 1 in the chat box. If this is your second, put a 2. If this is your third, put a 3. Okay, Casey says 1. Tinola says 1 as well. Fantastic. Anyone else? If this is your first, just put a 1 in the chat box. If this is your second, put a 2 in the chat box. I think we have a lot of shy people in the call today, which is actually funny because this is a masterclass on, agile project management and business analysis. Come on, guys, we talk a lot. We talk a lot. Project managers and business analysts talk a lot. So I want us to, try to be interactive and as engaging as possible. Okay, so if you stay with us till the end of the session, you have access to the slides that I'm sharing right now on my screen and the recording of this session. So during the course of the session, my colleagues are going to be dropping a link to the attendance form in the chat box. So please ensure that you fill it and add your email address because that is how we're going to be able to send these materials across to you. All right. So who is this person that has been talking to you for the past, 6 minutes? My name is Elizabeth Nana, and I am a product manager and senior agile project manager at Analytics, with half a decade of experience in product and project management. I'm an agile coach, and I've consistently been able to drive impactful results. I have successfully guided over 1,000 individuals with no prior agile knowledge in making a smooth transition into project management. My experience spans across multiple sectors like the health tech sector, the fintech sector, and also the educational technology sector. We have been able to apply my deep knowledge of agile methodologies, in helping companies and teams scale. So let's get right into the crux of the matter. What are we here to do today? Okay, so today I'm going to be walking us through how to write user stories on Jira. How to write agile user stories on Jira. I'll also be walking you through the pathway to becoming an agile project manager or a business analyst. Then I'll walk you through our Analytics Growth Internship Program, and finally, our special discount offer to you. Now, this is a visual representation of a lot of us when we think about, breaking into tech. You're wondering, what industry should I choose? What industry will pay me the most? Do I need to know how to code? I don't have any knowledge in tech. Well, not to worry, you're not alone. And that is why we are here today. Okay. So now, why does getting into the right industry matter? I'm going to be speaking to these 3 points highlighted on my screen. The first is transferable skills. You want to apply your current knowledge in industries with similar processes. Okay. So most of us, if not all of us here, have completed our first degree. A lot of us here have master degrees. We are master degree holders. You have also worked different jobs in different sectors. Now, I'm here to tell you today that many of those skills that you have developed in your previous roles, skills like communication, skills like problem solving, skills like time management, making sure that you deliver your tasks on time, engaging your stakeholders, and just improving processes are valuable skills across multiple industries that global tech recruiters are looking for. And why does this matter? It's very important to choose an industry that aligns with your existing skill sets that would allow you to leverage that experience that you already have without starting from scratch. So for example, for somebody that has experience in finance or in operations, you can easily transition into fintech as a business analyst or as a project manager by applying your knowledge of, compliance, of reporting and workflows. Coincidentally, someone from, customer service can also excel in the health tech space, for example, by managing patient processes and improving user experiences. Okay, so next we talk about career growth. We say certain industries have a higher demand for business analysts and project managers. What does this actually mean? There are industries with rapid digital transformation and complex projects that need skilled professionals. They are always constantly looking for skilled professionals that can help to bridge the gap between technical teams and business goals. All right. So choosing a high demand industry would help to increase your chances of job security, of career progression, and also of higher pay. And finally, we talk about adaptability. Some industries make it easier to transition without technical knowledge, right? This means that certain industries prioritize business knowledge, prioritize communication, prioritize analytical thinking over deep technical expertise. And why does this matter? These industries are more welcoming to professionals transitioning from non-technical backgrounds, and they allow you to succeed while building technical knowledge over time. So it's very easy to transition into these industries. Now let's move on. Now, what are some of the industries with high demand for project managers and business analysts? We talk about the technology and software development industry. We're constantly talking about digital transformation and how it is driving ongoing project needs right now. So this industry is ideal for people that have some sort of technical background. Now, that does not mean you should know how to code, okay? But you know some technical know-how, or you are process-driven. You have process-driven skills. For example, these industries are industries like the fintech space, the health tech space, and also the educational technology space. And then we talk about finance and banking. Now, this industry heavily relies on data, regulatory compliance, process optimization, and it is ideal for people with analytical skills, people that have some knowledge of risk assessment, or people that also have financial knowledge. So, for example, you have the payment systems, you have digital banking, you have lending platforms as well. And then we talk about healthcare. Now, this industry, deals with complex regulations, patient management systems, research and development projects, and it is ideal for those with knowledge in healthcare processes or patient services, right? And we talk about e-commerce and retail, and these are more customer-facing systems. These ones require, robust project and product management, and they're ideal for people that have customer experience. Okay, people that have customer service experience, people that have marketing experience. And finally, we talk about the government and public sector. These are process-driven, policy management, and they are dealing with citizen engagement projects. And this industry is ideal for people that have background in public policy, in legal or administration backgrounds. So, for example, you can talk about the digital public services or data security projects. So I just want us to put in the chat box real quick, which of these industries any of us has, worked at before. Which of these industries are you familiar with? It's so quiet. Okay, Casey says finance and banking, fantastic. John says healthcare. Okay. Thank you for constantly engaging, Casey. So now across these various industries that we may, decide that we want to go into, there is a common denominator. There is one core skill that would make agile project managers and business analysts shine in any industry. And what is that core skill? Being able to write user stories. We hear a lot about agile user stories. We hear a lot about user stories, but you want to be able to write effective user stories, regardless of the industry that you find yourself. Now, we already know that agile project managers and business analysts don't write code, right? What we do is we translate business needs into clear, actionable user stories that will help the developers to build whatever they need to build. Now, your unique advantage as a business analyst or as an agile project manager is your ability to understand the business needs of the organization and also the user's perspective. And this would help you to write user stories that are very practical, impactful, and aligned with project goals. User stories are the ultimate tool for, agile project managers and business analysts. And we use it to collaborate effectively with tech teams, and we use it to ensure that the products meet user and business needs. So how do we write a user story as an agile project manager or as a business analyst that is managing a team? I like to say that, there are a lot of project management tools out there. We have tools like Asana, we have tools like Zoho Project, we have tools like Microsoft Project, we have tools like ClickUp, Trello. But today, for the sake of this masterclass, we're going to be using Jira. And why we're using Jira is because Jira is one of the most popular project management tools, and it's also used for collaboration. And it is one that, most organizations currently use within their teams. As a project manager or as a business analyst, you are most likely going to be you're most likely going to be managing a cross-functional team, meaning that your team is going to consist of developers, your team would consist of designers, the UI UX designer, the quality assurance tester, the graphic designer. And while you're managing that team, you want to be able to have a visual board where you can track the progress and work of every single person in that team. And that is where tools like Jira, tools like Trello or ClickUp come in. So let's get right into it. Mastering Agile user stories. What are Agile user stories? We can't start talking about user stories without first talking about the Scrum framework. Now, if you're here right now, you probably have basic knowledge, or at least you have heard about Agile methodologies. You might not necessarily know what it is, okay, but you have at least heard about Agile methodologies, or you're familiar with Agile methodologies. So maybe give me, put an emoji in the chat, give me a thumbs up if you're familiar with Agile methodologies, give me a thumbs down if you are not. A thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's know where we're starting from. More ginger, come on, more ginger, guys. Okay, John gives a thumbs down. I mean, you're in the perfect place to learn, so that's fine. All right, so let's get right into it. We say the Scrum framework is a framework within which people can address complex adaptive problems while productively and creatively delivering products of the highest possible value. The word Scrum comes from sports rugby, where the players huddle together in an interlocked position, pushing against the opponents. Each player has a defined role in their position and can play both offensive and defensive as per the demand of the situation. Now, one thing I want to mention here is that Scrum is a framework under the Agile methodology. So when you're asked, maybe in an interview, maybe in a certification examination, what is the difference between Scrum and Agile? Just bear in mind, this is something that I like to say. People that have heard me talk a lot, teams that I have coached, I like to say this to them. Whenever you think about the Agile methodology, think about a tree. I think I've said this over and over again. It's stuck in my head. Think about the Agile methodology as a tree that has a lot of different branches. Now, those different branches, just represents the frameworks under the Agile methodology. And Scrum is one of those frameworks or one of the branches on that tree. So there are other frameworks under Agile, but our focus today would be the Scrum framework because it is the most widely used framework in Agile. It's actually the most popular. Okay, that's why you hear roles like Scrum Master. All right. So now a Scrum project has 3 roles, 3 artifacts, and 5 events. For the football lovers in the house, people that watch football, you hear a lot about all these your formations, formation 3-3-5, formation 5-5, whatever. In Scrum, we have our own formation, and it's called the 3-5-3 or the 3-3-5 framework. It stands for 3 roles, 3 artifacts, and 5 events. Now, the rules of Scrum are very simple. Okay, you have 3 roles: the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. You have 3 artifacts: the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the product increments. And then you have 5 events or ceremonies in Scrum: the sprint planning event, the daily stand-up or daily Scrum, the sprint review, the sprint retrospective, and finally the backlog refinements meeting. So don't worry, we're going to try to break this down. We have very little time, but I'm going to try my best. All right. So you just know that if you want to know more about these roles in depth, you want to know the nitty-gritty, just make sure you sign up for a analytics course, because that's where we actually get into it. But today, remember, we want to talk about writing effective user stories. So let's just move on. Now, this diagram that you can see on my screen right now represents the Scrum framework. Okay, here you can see the potential software changes, what we want to do, the features that we want to, put into our products or into our projects, the fixes that we want to put into this product, and also the technical work, all the things that needs to be done. And this translates into what we call the product backlog. The product backlog is more like a prioritized list of every single thing you want to do in that project. Every single thing that you want to do, it's like a to-do list, right? every single thing that you plan to do in that project. It could be 100 things. It could be 100 features, 100, bug fixes or technical work, but you have to list every single thing down in the product backlog. And then we get the sprint backlog, which is the amount of work that we have decided that we want to take on. So remember, let's say our product backlog has 100 items. We go into the product backlog and we say, for the next 2 weeks or for the next one month, we are only going to be able to work on 20 items out of these 100 items. So we go into the product backlog and pick out those 20 items, and that is what forms the sprint backlog, right? What we plan to take on and how we plan to take that on. Okay. And finally, that translates into what we call the product increments, which is what actually gets done. So maybe you pick, maybe you pick 20 items that you want to work on, but then you are eventually able to work on only 17 in the course of those 2 weeks. That 17 or those 17 tasks that you worked on is what we call the product increment, which then translates into what we call shippable software. Any questions so far? Are we good to go? Put an emoji in the chat, just let me know that you're listening. Are we good to go? Put an emoji in the chat. I'm actually looking in the chat box right now. Okay, Winnie says, yes. John says, I am too fast. Okay, I'm going to try to slow down. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to slow down. That's fine. All right, so let's move on. So like I said earlier, remember, I said the product backlog is the list of all the work that needs to be done in a project. John said, I'm too fast, so I'm trying to slow down. Now, the product owner, remember we said we had 3 roles in Scrum: the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. The product owner is the person in charge, or the person who is responsible for the product backlog, including what it contains, including its availability, and the priority in which we order it. Meaning the product owner is the person that's going to decide and say, this task is more important than this task, so let's work on this, or let's work on this later, or let's work on this next week. The product owner is the person in charge of priority ordering. Now, a product backlog is never complete because it always evolves along with the products. What this means is when you start your project, maybe you start with 30 items on your product backlog, okay? Because of changing requirements, maybe the changes in, what the users need, changes in, what you are doing, changes in the market requirements, your product backlog would keep evolving. That means you will keep having new tasks that you need to work on, new features that are coming out. Maybe tomorrow now you hear that AI is taking over and you're trying to implement AI into your product, or you're trying to integrate AI into your product. That finds its way into your product's backlog. So it never stops. It is never complete. All right, so I see a comment in the chat that says, we are good to go, but please, can you tell us which course you are taking? Sorry, I came late. So this masterclass is, just dealing on which industry is best when you're trying to transition as a business analyst or a project manager. Okay, so we're taking business analysis and project management, and we're using that, trying to make sure that you understand how to master writing agile user stories. All right, so let's move on. This is a snapshot of what your Jira dashboard looks like. This is what your product's backlog is going to look like on Jira. But don't worry, I'm going to show you this in real time because we're going to have a practical class, and I will show you how we can practicalize everything that we learn here today. So just stay with me. Now we have gotten to the start of the show, how to write an agile user story. So to write a user story, you must first understand what epics are, what features are, and what a user story is. Now we say here that an epic is a large, high-level body of work that we can then break down into smaller, manageable tasks, which we call user stories or features. So we say the epic represents multiple features or many stories, and it can take months to build and works at the release level. And it is what the end users tend to focus on. So for example, let's use this example. You want to build a house, okay? Now, an epic could be to build a kitchen. Excuse me. we all know that there is so much work that goes into trying to build a house when you think about, building a house. But now we want to break it down because that is what we do in Agile. We break down our large projects into smaller, manageable parts, okay? So now we break it down and say a kitchen. Even the kitchen, there is a lot of work that goes into it. You have to install your heat extractor, for example. You have to put up your kitchen cabinets. You have to, install your fridge, your gas, etc., your stove. There's a lot of work that goes into that kitchen. So we can call the kitchen an epic. It's sort of like an umbrella, all right? Because you'll still be able to break them down into smaller features or tasks, like, installing the kitchen cabinet or installing a heat extractor or screeding the walls and so on and so forth. But the end result is what the user or, the homeowner, the person that owns the home is going to focus on, which is the smart kitchen. The person wants a kitchen, point blank, period. The person doesn't care about, the tasks that would go into, developing or building that kitchen. What the person wants is a kitchen. Okay, so that is an epic. It is what the end user focuses on. Now, why do we use epics? Epics make it easier to organize our work so that it doesn't look like your board is all over the place, because then you can link tasks to that epic. You can link, like I said, it's an umbrella. So you can link all the smaller tasks to that particular epic, and it just makes sure that your board is organized, especially if you have, stakeholders that would be looking at that board, so that anybody that goes on that board and sees a particular task links to the epic of, building a kitchen. They know that, okay, this is one of the tasks they are going to undergo when they're building the kitchen. All right. So now let's move on to features. Now, what is a feature? A feature is a smaller piece of functionality that is within an epic, but it is still larger than an individual user story. So we say features are smaller than epics, but bigger than user stories. And they can take weeks or possibly one or more iterations to build. And features are what customers or product owners tend to focus on. All right, so now let's go back to our kitchen analogy once again. We have agreed that to build a kitchen is an epic, correct? Now, a feature within this epic would be to install the kitchen cabinets, because now this is a specific part of the kitchen building process, but it is still something that we can break down into multiple tasks or multiple user stories. For example, you will need to assemble the cabinet frames. That is a task on its own. You will need to maybe mount the cabinet on the walls. That is another task on its own. You need to apply finishing to the wood, maybe the gloss finishes or whatever. That is another task on its own. Okay, so we can still break down this feature, which is installing the kitchen cabinet. We can break it down into multiple tasks. So this is a feature. This is what a feature is. It is still under the epic umbrella, but now it is something that we can take out but still break down into multiple user stories. Am I making sense so far? Are we lost? Do we understand? Do we understand? I see Olufumilayo. She says, is this really introductory? Olufumilayo, I don't know. Did you join from the beginning of the session? Okay, George says good. Winnie says good. Okay, so we are good to go. Now, finally, let's look at user stories. But before we even look at user stories, can anyone, seeing as Winnie says she's not confused, Benga says it's good to go, can you give me an example, another example of what you think a feature would be in this kitchen that we're building? Remember, I've given one, which is the kitchen cabinets. Can anyone else tell me what a feature would be? Think about your kitchen. Anyone else? Let's try. Let us try. I need suggestions in the chat box. I'm actually looking at the chat box right now. It's very quiet. Remember, I gave an example of a feature as installing the kitchen cabinets. So can anyone else give me another example? Samuel, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind words. Another example, don't use that. Don't flatter me. Don't try to flatter me. Give me another example of, a feature in this kitchen. Okay, I can see it's very silent. Very, very silent. So in order not to take too much of our time, installing the water faucet. Thank you very much, Casey. Thank you very much for attempting. Casey has been the person constantly engaging me. Thank you very much. All right, so let's move on to user stories. Finally, what are user stories? Now we say user stories are the smallest increments of value, and they take a day or perhaps a week to build at most, and it is what the development team tends to focus on. So now that user story would be to mount the frame of the cabinet, for example, or install the cabinet, and assemble the frame of the cabinet, mount the cabinet on the wall, add the gloss finish on the cabinet, add the decorative handles of the cabinets. Those are the smallest increments of value. Those are the smallest tasks that you can perform in this kitchen. Okay, still using the EPIC umbrella, the installing your kitchen cabinet. So the user story would be, just assembling your kitchen cabinet and then adding your handles to your cabinets. But then, is that how we actually portray it? Is that what we're going to say? We're going to say to the people working, okay, assemble the kitchen cabinets. That's not exactly how we write user stories. So how do we write it? Right now, to write an agile user story, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're writing from the perspective of the end user, the person that is actually going to be using this feature or this product, right? So how do you do that? You define the end user first. Looking at this example in this image on the right-hand side of my screen, we have a mother carrying a baby, all right? She's carrying a baby. So we are saying we are building a product for this mother, right? She's a parent. So the first way we want to start our user stories, we want to say, as a parent, because we have identified that this is the person that is going to be using the products that we want to build. All right. So you're defining your end user, who will be using your products as a parent. That is the first step. Now, the second step, you specify what they want. What is the solution that you're offering? What does that parent want? You say, as a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering his room. Okay, now we move on to step 3. We describe the benefits. What will your user gain from actually using this product? What will this parent gain if she uses this product? Because here, what we're trying to build a nanny cam. For those of us that are not familiar with nanny cams, these are, these small cameras that parents of today, they install in their baby's room, especially when you have, your baby sleeps in a separate room. So you install a camera and then you connect it to your mobile phone so that when you're in the kitchen, you can watch your baby sleep, basically. So to make sure you want to know when your baby wakes up, etc. So we're building the nanny cam and we have identified that the end user for this nanny cam is our parent. So as a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering his room, so that I can know he's safe without disturbing him. Now, this is the format of writing a user story. As a user, I want to action so that I can benefit. Okay? As a user, as a parent, I want to action. I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering his room so that I can know he's safe without disturbing him. Now, the next thing that you want to do after defining, after writing your user story is you want to add acceptance criteria. Now, as agile project managers or as business analysts, we use acceptance criteria for 2 major reasons. The first reason is to let the developers know exactly what we want them to build. So we're trying to describe to these developers what it is that we want them to build for us, right? We are detailing it down so that the developers actually know, because developers can be funny, And you agree with me, sometimes when we want to build something, it's like wanting to build a new furniture in your house. When you call your artisan, you actually show the artisan a picture of what you're trying to recreate, right? Instead of just telling the artisan, oh, I want a new closet, I want it to be brown in color. Because if you just do that, when the artisan works on it and comes back, it's going to be something that is not going to be what you had in mind. It's going to be very different from what you had in mind. So you want to show that artisan that, oh, this is a picture, this is what I want you to create, but I want you to make mine smaller. So you're going to give him all the specifications. You're going to give him all the details. Now, when we're writing user story, you see those details you're giving to your artisan is what we call the acceptance criteria. And now the second purpose that the acceptance criteria acts as or helps us to solve is to tell the tester what to test for. The person that's going to be testing these products. what should this person test for? So for example, look at the acceptance criteria on the screen. It says an alert should be sent to the registered smartphone if a problem is detected or if motion is detected, for example. So what this means is if we install this camera in a room and we connect it to a mobile device, even if I take my mobile device downstairs to the kitchen and I'm in the kitchen, if there's movement that is detected in that room, an alert should immediately be sent to my phone. I should know, okay, movement detected, so I can check and see, okay, I think my baby's awake. Now that is an acceptance criteria. That is me telling the developers, okay, this is how I want this product to function. Now, when the tester is testing this, the tester will test for this specifically. After the developers are done, doing their magic and writing their code, the tester proceeds to test. So it maybe tells somebody to stay in the room, he installs the nanny cam, and he connects it to his smartphone, and it tells the person to move around to see if an alert is going to be sent to his phone. Now, if he doesn't get any alert, it can go back to the developers to say, this feature or this product is not working the way we want it to work. You need to fix it. So, it serves two major, purposes. It helps us to describe what exactly we want the developers, and it also helps, the tester to test for what we want when the developers are done with their task. So what are some of the top tips that we can, just have at the back of our minds when we're trying to write a good user story? The first one is to develop a persona profile to visualize your end user. Basically, identify who your end user is. Who is the person that's going to be using this product? Then you always want to make sure that you're writing from your end user's perspective. It's called a user story. It's not just a story. It's not a project manager's story. It's a user story. So you say, as a user, as a homeowner, as someone that is coming to attend the 10 Analytics Masterclass, you define who the end user is. Always write from that end user's perspective. And avoid adding so many technical details. Just keep your user story simple. Look at the example on the screen. As a parent, I want to check on my sleeping baby without entering his room so that I can know he's safe without disturbing him. Point blank period. That is all. You want to keep it simple and try not to add too many acceptance criteria. So because I said that is how we define, or that is how we tell the developers what we want, doesn't mean that you should have a list of 30 acceptance criteria. No, just try to keep it simple, keep the stories brief, and even break them up if you have to, and make sure that they meet your definition of done. Okay, so let's just look at one more example of a user story before we move on to, what we are actually here to do today, before we move on to the technical or the practical part of this class. So like I said, the epic is a large user story, but let's look at the example of this user story here. It says, as a college student, meaning that for whatever project this user story was written for, the end user, the person that we are building this project for or this product for is, are probably people in the university. So I'm writing the user story from their perspective. As a college student, I would like to see the total price of my cart as I add items so that I can fit my budget. What this means is, when you're shopping on Amazon, on AliExpress, whatever online e-commerce, website, when you're adding items to cart, you can actually check your cart to see how much is the total of all the things you have added there, so that you know that if you have 30 pounds to spend, you're not exceeding that 30 pounds. When you get to 29 pounds or you get to 28 pounds, you're like, okay, let me check out. Okay, so that is exactly what this user story is trying to say. I would like to see the total price of my cart as I add items so that I can fit my budget. Now, what this would probably result to is a cart summary. Just like I mentioned, when you open your cart, just before you check out, you're able to see all the different items that you ordered with their prices and then the total. Okay, to see that, okay, you have added 5 items and all 5 items cost 28 pounds. You have 30 pounds. So you know that, okay, it's time to stop so I can use the remaining 2 pounds for delivery. So that is how we write user stories. Any question before we move on to Jira? Any question? Put your questions in the chat box. Are we good to go? Or we don't understand? Put it in the chat box. Let's see. Because we're about to move onto Jira now. I'm about to show you how to use Jira. So let's finish up with the theoretical aspects. Do we have any questions so far? From anybody? I can see 41 people on this call. It says the business analysts developed the epics, So Bola, I'm actually going to also walk you through how to create an epic on Jira in just a few minutes. So you see. It's very straightforward and very simple. She says, okay, fantastic. So the entire class is silent. I'm going to take that as a yes, we can proceed. All right. So now let's look at this case study. A medical clinic wants to develop an online appointment booking system. The product owner has outlined a key requirement. Patients should be able to book appointments. They should be able to view available time slots, and they should receive confirmation emails. Now, the business analyst or the project manager has been tasked with breaking down these requirements into user stories and adding them to the product backlog in Jira. Okay? The business analyst or the project manager has been tasked with breaking down these requirements into user stories and adding them to the product backlog in Jira. What are the steps? The first thing the BA, which is the business analyst, does is he has gathered the following high-level requirements, and I want us to, pay attention to this. The first requirement is that patients should be able to book an appointment online. That's requirement 1. Requirement 2 says patients should be able to see available time slots before booking. Requirement 2. And then finally, it says patients should receive a confirmation email after booking. That's requirement 3. So those are the 3 requirements we have. Patients should be able to book an appointment online. Patients should be able to see available time slots, and patients should receive a confirmation email after booking. So now let's go to Jira. Let's go over to Jira. Just give it some time to load up. Jira is a bit slow today. All right, fantastic. So now this is my product backlog on Jira. I created this because I don't want to waste our time in class, but now I'm going to walk you through how you can also create this as well. So the first thing you want to do after you sign up on Jira, you're going to have these icons at the top of your screen. You see your work, you see projects, you see filters, things like that. You want to click on projects. You click on projects, and then you see an option, you see view all projects. Now you can see a list of projects here because this is the Jira account I use to train, teams, agile teams. So we are going to click on create project because you want to start a new project. So you click on create projects. And then it provides you with a lot of templates. Now, because Jira is not only used for project management, it has various uses. You can use Jira for software development. You can use Jira for service management, work management, product management, a lot of things, even for, your personal day-to-day activities as well. But for the sake of this presentation, we are going to be selecting software development. Now, when you select software development, it shows you some more templates. It asks you, do you want a Kanban template or do you want a Scrum template? Now, remember, Scrum is our focus for this class. So we select Scrum. And then it just gives you an overview of what Scrum is. You can read this. It tells you just a summary of what Scrum is and how it works. And then if this is the template you want to proceed with, you click on Use Templates. Then it asks you, choose a project type. We have 2 types of projects. We have the team managed projects and the company managed projects. Now, the company managed projects are for companies, organizations, and it is paid for. So we want to use the free one, which is the team managed projects. For the sake of this presentation, you select team managed. And it tells you, add your project details. What is the name of your project? Let's say masterclass demo. It's a masterclass demo is the name of our project. And what Jira automatically does for you is it adds a key, meaning it just sort of summarizes your project's name. So it just calls it MC. So anywhere you see MC, it's talking about the masterclass demo project. And just like that, you click on create project and c'est fini. You're done. You have just created your first project on Jira. Did we understand that process? Did we understand that? Would you like me to take it again? It's very quiet. Okay, so Casey says yes, Peter says no. So Peter, I'm going to take it over again, just, very quickly. I'll take it again. So now I say to start a new project, you want to click on project at the top here. Okay, you have a bunch of icons at the top. You click on projects. And then it asks you view all projects or create projects. You click on create projects. Then it loads up. It shows you a lot of project templates that you can pick from. For this presentation, we'll pick software development. So when you click on software development, then it shows you more templates under software development. You can see software development highlighted here. Then it shows you more templates under software development. Because we are working with Scrum, we pick the Scrum templates. So when you click on Scrum, it shows you an overview of what Scrum is, etc. You click on use templates. Once you say use templates, it asks you, if you select company managed, it's going to ask you to pay, because that is how Jira makes their money. So for the sake of this presentation, we are going to select the free option, which is the team managed, this purple one here. So we select team managed. And once you select team managed, it asks you to add the name of your what's it called, your projects. So let's call this demo projects. Add your project details, and immediately Jira summarizes it for you and calls it DP. Demo project called DP, and you click on create project. Just like that, you have created your first project on Jira. Just have to give it time to load up, but once it loads up, you can then start to put things on your backlog. That is how to create a new project on Jira. Okay, and then when I was talking about our product backlog, you can see the user menu to the left-hand side of my screen here. This is where you click on backlog, you see the backlog. You can begin to add items to this backlog, create an issue. And say, pay attention, create another issue, ask questions. But just like that, you have created a project on Jira, and then you can just begin to add issues to your backlog. Now, remember, your backlog is like your to-do list for your project, detailing every single work, every single thing that needs to happen in that project. So now let's go back to the projects that I already created. I've walked us through how to create a new project on Jira. So let's go to the one I created so we can work together and not take too much time. There's some people joining us here from Nigeria, and in Nigeria right now it's pretty late, so I don't want to keep us here longer than I have to. All right, so I went ahead to create, let's close this up. This is my backlog, okay? I went ahead to create this using the requirements from our case study. Remember, it said, want to allow patients to be able to book an appointment online. Patients should be able to view available time slots, and patients should also receive a confirmation email after booking. So you add this, like I showed us how to add an issue to our backlog. Let's create another issue. I'll call it. So this is basically how to add issues. You're just listing things down, all the things that you need to do in your project. So now we're using our case study. So these are the 3 things we are going to be focusing on. Now, the first thing that you want to do, now we talked about epics, and I think it was Bola who asked that question, who creates the epic? Right now, the business analyst has come to Jira. How do you then create an epic? At the top of my screen here, you can see this icon that says create. If you click on create, it's going to ask you what type of issue do you want to create? Here, right here. What type of issue do you want to create? You're going to click on this drop down and you will see, do you want to create a task, a bug, a story, or an epic? So we're going to pick an epic. Remember, the epic is like the umbrella where there are other smaller user stories under it, okay? So we pick an epic and we call this epic online booking system. Sorry, let's name our epic online booking system. Okay, online booking system. And that is where all of these three tasks fall under the online booking system. So you can then scroll down, you can decide to change the color of the epic if you choose, these are just little, just to make it look pretty. But that is it. I chose blue, and then I'm going to click on create epic. And just like that, my epic has been created. So now I can proceed to link my tasks. You see, it says you have created a MCP5 issue. I can proceed to link my tasks to that epic. You can see an icon here that says plus epic. If I click on this, it will show me the epic I just created, online booking system. And just like that, I can link all my tasks to that epic. So anybody that comes to this board and looks at these tasks and sees these three tasks will know that they are linked to the online booking system that we are trying to work on. Am I making sense so far? I see Fatolu Peter. Peter says, wow, nice one. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. Okay, so now I've shown you how to create an epic and then how to link your tasks to an epic. Okay, so now let's talk about the user story. I've done two, then we'll do the last one together. I'm doing this two so I can walk you through what it should look like and what the acceptance criteria looks like. And then the last one, we're going to do it together. We're going to put answers in the chat box. Okay, so now let's look at the first one. The first one, remember our formats. You're identifying the end user. Who are we building this for? This is a medical clinic project, so we're building it for patients, okay? So the first one is, it says to be able to book an appointment online. We say, as a patient, I want to book an appointment online so that I can schedule a visit without calling the clinic. As a patient, I want to book an appointment online so that I can schedule a visit without calling the clinic. Now, what is the acceptance criteria for this task? Remember, the acceptance criteria is for the developers and the testers. So now I'm telling them that the way I want this feature to be, I want patients to be able to select a doctor or a service when they're booking. So when a patient goes to maybe our online portal or our online websites and the patient is trying to book an appointment, when there's click on maybe book appointment, it shows them a drop down. Maybe they should select the doctor that they want to, book an appointment with. She wants to book an appointment with Dr. Bola or Dr. Peter, select, or Dr. Casey. It shows them a drop down of all the doctors, and then they can select. Or they can also select a service. What are you booking? Are you booking antenatal? Are you booking, immunization? You can select what you want to book for. Okay, that is the first acceptance criteria. Now, the second acceptance criteria says patients can choose a preferred date and time from the available slots. What this means is they should see a calendar. So do you want to have your appointment on the 20th of February? Do you want to have your appointment on the 21st of February? They can choose the dates that they want and the time that they want. Okay, now this is what I am telling the developers as the business analyst or as the project manager. I want the patients to see a calendar where they can choose the dates that they want to book that appointment for. Number 3, I say the patients should receive an on-screen confirmation after booking. Right there, once they click on book, there should be maybe a pop-up on their screen that says, okay, you have successfully booked an appointment, maybe a thumbs up or anything to let them know that, okay, the appointment actually went through. That is the third acceptance criteria. And finally, I say the appointment details should be saved in our own system for the medical clinic so that when the patient finally comes to the clinic and we say, we're at the reception and we say, oh, what's your name, ma'am? They give us their name. We can check our system and confirm that that person actually booked an appointment. So the details of the appointment, the person's name, the date, the time, the doctor, everything should be stored in our own system. Now, those are the 4 acceptance criteria that I'm giving to my developers, that this is what I want. This is how I want this feature to work. Do we understand that? Let me check the chat box. All right, Fatolu Pizza says once again, thank you. I'm glad you understand. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So this is what your user story should look like and what your acceptance criteria is, how you write it. You list it for the developers. I said patients should be able to select a doctor, They should be able to pick a date that they want to book. They should be able to see a confirmation after they book, and then all the details of what they booked should be stored in our own system so that when the patient comes into the clinic, we can check our computer and search for the patient's name, and we'll see that, okay, this person actually booked an appointment with Dr. Fatolu Peter, and is for the 20th of February by 1 p.m. All right, so now let's look at the second one. Remember, we are going to do the last one together. So let's look at what the second one looks like. View available time slots. Now, this is the second user story for the second requirement. Remember, we were given 3 requirements: book an appointment online, be able to view available time slots, and also receive a confirmation email. So now for the user story for viewing available time slots, we say, as a patient, again, from the end user's perspective, as a patient, I want to see available time slots before booking so that I can choose a convenient time for my appointment. I want to see available time slots before booking so that I can choose a convenient time for my appointment. Now, I went ahead to list the acceptance criteria for my developers to work on. I say, I want the patients to be able to see available time slots for each doctor or service, meaning that when you select a doctor and you see the doctor's calendar, if that day is unavailable, for example, 19th is unavailable, it should be grayed out. That means you cannot select it. You are able to see only the ones that are available. So we see that, okay, Dr. Fatolu Peter is available on the 20th, but it's not available on the 21st. It's fully booked on the 21st, is free on the 22nd, or is fully booked on the 22nd, but he has an open slot for 3 p.m. They should be able to see the available time and the available dates on the doctor's calendar. Okay? Then the time slot should reflect real-time availability, meaning that if I'm looking at my laptop right now, I'm trying to book an appointment with Dr. Peter, right? And then, someone in Canada books an appointment right at the same time and books for 3 p.m. and the person already takes the 3 p.m. slot. It should reflect on my laptop that, okay, 3 p.m. is gone. I have to choose maybe 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Someone has booked 3 p.m. 3 p.m. is no longer available. So it should reflect real-time availability. And finally, we say the fully booked slot should not be selectable. Even when the person is trying to select it, it should not be clickable at all because it is fully booked. Now, this is the acceptance. I'm telling the developers that this is how I want this feature to look like. The patient should be able to see the available time. The time slot should reflect real-time availability. And finally, if the slot is fully booked, when someone else tries to book that particular slot, that person should not be able to select that. Do we understand that? Because we're about to do one together right now. Do we understand this user story and this acceptance criteria? How are we doing so far? Peter is the only person. Okay, Casey says pretty straightforward. Fantastic. All right. Favor says, yes, we do. Thank you. So now we're moving to the third one. I want us to put our thinking hats on. I want us to do this together. The user story for receiving a confirmation email. Who can try? Please try in the chat box. Remember, follow the formats. As a patient, I want to blah, 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 so that I can blah, blah. Okay? So follow that format in the chat box. I want to see our attempts. I want us to attempt it together. And whatever you tell me is what I'm going to write. Okay, so I want someone to try. Let's speed it up. I want someone to try to do this last one. Let me start for us as an expo, as a patient. Okay, we start with as a patient because remember, we're defining the end user. As a patient, I want to, what do you want to do? Is anybody going to try? Or are we still thinking? Bola says, as a patient, I want to be able to receive a confirmation email so I can know when my appointment has been booked. Fantastic. Exactly. See, that is a I can't think of a better user story. That is it. Very straightforward. As a patient, I want to be able to receive a confirmation email. So I want to I'm writing what Bola just gave me. A confirmation email so that I can know my appointment has been booked. Fantastic user story. You see, so it's not so hard. A lot of people think it's hard, but it's not hard. So now let's think about the acceptance criteria. I just need one from you, and then I'm going to supply maybe two so that we can move on to starting a sprint. Daily says, as a patient, I want to be able to receive a reminder email for my appointment. That is very valid as well. Okay, so acceptance criteria. How do you think this feature should look like? What are you trying to tell your developers? I'll say one, I'm saying patients should receive an email after successfully booking, an appointment. Peter is still writing the user story. As a patient, I want to be able to schedule appointment during peak time so that I can receive an email alert. Nice. Okay, so now let's talk about the acceptance criteria. The first acceptance criteria, I'm going to tell my developers that, okay, whenever a patient books an appointment and they successfully book it, they should receive an email immediately. So we say, number one, patients should receive email after successfully booking. So obviously the email would then contain the details of the appointment. When you get the email, like it would be like a summary in your email to say, oh, appointment booked with Dr. Winnie for 3 p.m. on the, the 20th of February, blah, blah, blah. It's going to include all the details. So that is another acceptance criteria that we can give to the developers. We say patients should receive an email after successfully booking, right? That's number one. Number two, we said the email should contain all the appointment details. So the doctor you booked with, the service you booked for, the time, etc. So email should contain all the appointment details. Look at Fatolu Peter being very proactive. He has even put an email template for us to use. All right. So, let's just add one more. Let's say the email should be sent at least 5 minutes after booking. Okay, Winnie says acceptance criteria. The user receives. Wonderful. That's just what I just said, within the time frame of 5 minutes. So that's what we're going to add. We say email should be sent within 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes of booking a service. So it's actually pretty simple and straightforward, okay? Writing user stories, you just need to understand it. Once you understand it, it's very easy to hack. Very, very easy to hack. It's something that you can just sit down and think about, and it's very interesting. Thank you, Winnie. So email should be sent within 5 minutes of booking. And just like that, we are done with writing our user stories and our acceptance criteria for this, what's it called? For these requirements that we were given, okay? So just like that, we are done with writing everything. Now, the next thing that we want to do, now remember, this is our product backlog. I know right now we only have 4 items in the backlog, but remember, it's a to-do list of every single thing you want to do in that project. So ideally, it's not going to be 4. It's maybe going to be 20, it's going to be 30. And now we want to pick out these 3, that these are the 3 we want to work on, okay? So Jira already created a sprint backlog here for us, but it is empty. So what you want to do is, we have decided that we're going to work on these 3 in our next sprint. So we move the task. We just hover over it and move it up. Just like that, we're moving it from the backlog, from the product backlog into the sprint backlog. Okay, just hover over it and carry it up. That's all you need to do. And just like that, it has been moved. The 3 that we want to focus on has been moved from the product backlog, which is here, to the sprint backlog. And just like that, I'm the only one right now on this Jira board. If not, I would have, if I had a team, I'll just add people. You see this icon that says add people. I'll get my team members, maybe the developers' email addresses, and then I'll be able to add them to this board. Okay, it says example, maria@company.com. I get their email addresses, I add them to this board. And once I add them to this board, I can then assign tasks to them. But because I'm the only person on this board right now, I'm just going to assign to myself, assign this task to myself. So you can then assign these tasks to the different, the developers and designers on your team. And then we move on to starting a sprint. So you can click here to say start sprint, because remember, we're trying to take this to our board. Right now, our board is empty. Let me show you what the board looks like right now. Let's give it some time to come up. The board is empty right now. So we want to take what we have in our sprint backlog into our board. So we are going to click on start sprints. And then it's going to ask us, what do you want to name your sprint, blah, blah, blah. You can put in anything you want to put in here. What's the duration of your sprints? Remember, I said 2 weeks was the most popular duration, but you can do 1 week to 4 weeks. So you can just pick, okay, either 1 week or 2 weeks. Let's just use 2 weeks. And then we click on start. And just like that, Jira is going to move everything to the board. And you see a notification, it says sprint started, but filtered the board to show your new sprint. Good luck, team. Okay, and now you have your tasks on the board. And then as the developers are working on it, they can move it from to do to in progress, and also finally move it to done once they are done with the task. And just like that, that is how to use Jira. Pretty simple, very straightforward. Okay? Pretty simple and very, very straightforward. All right. I hope we enjoyed this Jira class, because now we want to go back to our presentation. Very easy to track your record. Exactly. Very, very easy. And the funny thing, there is now a new feature called summary, where you can see the activity of everybody. Now you see Nana Elizabeth changed the status, Nana Elizabeth. So anybody that comes on this board and does any single thing is going to show here. So you can track who moved this task. When did this person move this task? What was the time? 1 minute ago, 2 minutes ago. So you're able to track in real time. You don't have to always call the person. Just come to the Jira board, check if the person has done his task, check when he did the task as well. So that is that about, writing agile user stories. So now let's move back to our presentation. So here, I would just like to stop and throw a question to the house, right? Everyone that is here, put in the chat box, which of these career paths are you actually interested in? Are you interested in being an agile project manager, or are you interested in being a business analyst? Which of these are you interested in? Okay, Benga says business analyst. Okay, wonderful. Peter, which of them are you interested in? Okay, this person says agile project management. I think she's using a nickname. Casey says business analyst. Okay, fantastic. It looks like the business analysts are winning with the agile project. Okay, we have Winnie. Winnie says agile project management. I'll always root for agile because I'm an agile project manager, by the way. So full disclaimer, I'm going to be a little bit biased. Okay, so now let's just, move on. But this is a snippet. What I just showed us, that was like 30 minutes. And it's very simple, but it's just a snippet of the kind of things that you would learn if you register for a course with us here at 10Analytics, either business analysis or agile project management and Scrum Master. Now I'm sure there are lots of questions. We have a lot of questions. I can't take everything because of where, we are in a time crunch right now. But please, I'm sure my colleagues have been dropping the link to the attendance form in the chat. Fill the form, add your questions, and make sure to add an email address. So our reps from 10Analytics would respond to you with the answers to your questions. They can easily get across to you with answers to your questions, and also provide you with this slide that I'm using to teach you, and also the recording as well. And if you're just joining us now, or you joined late, don't worry, all of our sessions are recorded, like I mentioned earlier, and you can have access to it after the class, but only if you fill the form. Okay, so if you have stuck with me up until this very moment, please drop something in the chat box. Ginger me a little bit before we move on. Drop an emoji, drop a letter, drop a number, drop anything. Tell me we're good to go. Tell me to move on. So Winnie says, is there any advantage to learn both? Well, Winnie will come to that. Let's just see. Thank you, Peter. Okay. Thank you, Casey. I see that abbreviation. I know what it means. I'm not going to say it, but thank you. I like the energy. All right. So now let's move on. Now, I know a lot of you might be wondering, okay, why is this the right career path for me? I think we was just asking, what's the advantage to learning both? You know, it actually goes beyond learning about Jira, learning how to write user stories. It's more than that. Okay, parents that know how to use Jira. So you're like, and maybe they still jump on our boats. Okay, into this, into this for a agile project, right? Okay, I think that was a technical issue. All right. Please confirm that you can hear me. So let's get back to it. All right. Okay, so I was talking about, just trying to figure out and make sure that, these career paths that you're trying to get into, you're very sure that it's not just going to go out of demand in the next, the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. You're good. Okay. Now we try to make sure that all of the courses, we want to help people. Want to help people of the Black community transition into roles that would actually be safe for the next 5, for the next 10, for the next 15 years. And how do we achieve this? Now, yearly, what we do is we scrub all the major job boards. Now, I'm talking of job boards like, CV Library, job boards like Monster, Indeed, Leads, Total Jobs. Think of all the job boards that you know, right? The free ones and the paid ones, we actually pay to go on these job boards and scrub them, right? We scrub them and we look for the jobs with the most recurring posting. So for example, off the top of my head, don't quote me anywhere, but just check it. Excuse me, just checking last year. We saw, for example, we had like about over 15,000 postings or listings for a data analyst. Okay. So now we analyze all of these job boards to look for the most recurring jobs, right? All of the jobs that people are really, really looking for. And then we analyze it. We scrape all of these jobs and we perform an internal data analysis. We analyze this data. We analyze this data based on 3 criteria. Okay? 3 criteria. What are these criteria? The first one is ease of learning. The second is ease of transitioning. And the third is high rewarding salary. How easy is it for you to learn the skills that are needed for this job? Now, there are a lot of in-demand jobs, don't get me wrong. We hear things like Web3. Web3 is in demand. We hear things like robotics engineering, for example. There are a lot of them, a lot of in-demand jobs. But how easy is it to learn the skills to become a robotic engineer, for example, especially for people like us that have been out of the classroom for a little bit, We are also looking for money. People have financial obligations. People are currently working as you're taking these courses. So how easy is it for you to learn, right? How easy is it for you to learn as a beginner with somebody that, as someone that has absolutely no prior knowledge, no prior understanding? Then we look at the second criterion. How easy is it for you to transition into this role, right? You have no experience in working in tech, fantastic, but you have prior experience working at other jobs. So how easy is it for you to not only pivot into this role, but also excel in this role? To not just get this job, but to keep the job, right? Are there some transferable skills from your previous work experience that you can leverage in this new role? Okay, for example, somebody that is used to public speaking, someone that is used to just talking to stakeholders, etc., that person would easily excel, in a course like business analysis. So how easy is it for you to excel? How easy is it for you to transition and leverage those skills that you already have, like communication and stakeholder management, in this new role? And finally, we look at the last one, which is, let's face it, let's not lie, a lot of us, that's why we're here. We hear about tech money, tech money, tech money, tech money. Everybody wants to eat tech money. So, we look at these jobs and look at how well they pay. Do these jobs actually pay well, right? What are the average salaries for these jobs across the different regions and the different job boards? Now, this analysis that we carried out actually influenced our decision to pick 8 courses. And we have business analysis and agile project management and Scrum Master as 2 of these 8 courses that we actually offer. So we are not just everywhere. We're not just offering all the courses. We actually had to carry out this analysis to make sure that these are jobs that are going to stand the test of time. Okay, but then we didn't stop there, because 9 times out of 10, when you do something yourself, you are biased. If you cook rice, it tastes sweet to you. You're biased because you're the one that did it. Okay, so we said, you know what, to validate this, why not go out there and look for a reputable body that has no affiliations to 10 Analytics, doesn't know us from anywhere, and let's see what they say. Let's get their inputs. And what we did was we went ahead. We took it a step further. We went ahead. We went to the web. We looked for reputable reports. And that is how we found the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs report. Now, this particular report that I'm showing you right now was just released in January 2025 from the World Economic Forum. This report is also available to you on the web, and it's linked on the slide as well. So remember, please fill the attendance form, and you will get access to the slide, and you can always just access all the, the videos and the materials, the resources that are linked on the slide. Okay. So now the World Economic Forum of Jobs, the Future of Jobs report says a lot of jobs will be created and a lot of jobs will be lost. All right. It says in the next 5 years, by 2030, 170 million jobs will be created and 92 million jobs will disappear. So just looking at this snapshot attached here, it is linked. You can see you see jobs that are color coded in 3 different colors. You have the red, you have the blue, and then you have the green. The red jobs are the jobs that will be destroyed. The blue jobs are the stable jobs, and the green jobs are the jobs that will be created in the next 5 years. 5 years is a very short time. We're thinking about 5 years now, it seems very far, 2030. But before you blink, 5 years is a very short time. So if you're here, you know, in this blue job, you're safe. But if you're here, what you want to do is you want to find your way out of this red zone into the blue zone or into the green zone. And that is where we come in. Okay, so we then go further to look at the in-demand career paths according to, you know, the future of job reports. Remember, it is also linked, so you can click here to download the full report once you get the slide. Now you can see here highlighted is the project manager role. And now when we're talking about project manager, we're not just talking about the traditional project managers now. We're talking about agile project managers, because all the big organizations right now are transitioning away from traditional project management into agile project management. Okay, so agile project managers are in demand. You can see this list has the green jobs and then the red ones. The red ones are on the right. So you see jobs like legal secretaries, legal officials. AI is coming to take over all of that. So those are jobs that are going to be destroyed. But the jobs on the left, on the other hand, are safe. We have a lot of them here, but our focus today is agile project managers and also business analysts. Okay. You see, as an agile project manager or as a business, you are safe for the next 5, you say for the next 10, 15 years. All right. So now let's move on. Now let's talk about the success stories. It always seems impossible until it is actually done. You know, you say she's been talking, she's been saying a lot, she's been waxing poetic about, you know, APM and BA, but I don't have any prior tech experience. So I don't think I can do this. But now let's look at some success stories. We actually have a lot of testimonials. Here at Analytics, we pride ourselves in the fact that we have real people with videos. You know, in fact, we attach their names, so you can go and look for them on LinkedIn and ask them yourself, okay, about your experience with us. Now, if you joined the session at the very beginning, we had the video of this beautiful young woman playing Lois. And Lois was an accountant and procurement specialist with absolutely no prior knowledge or experience in tech. She joined our business analysis training program, and she was able to secure a job as a project manager in the UK after completing the training, leveraging the project management skills in business analysis, right? These videos are linked here, right? So when you get the slides, you can watch them. You can go on our YouTube channel and watch them as well. Let's look at Ngozi Aderemi as well, who had a background in customer service and HR before she joined our business analysis training program. And once she completed the program, she got a job as a business analyst in the UK and works remotely from Huddersfield. She works from home. And we have a lot of them just like that. You know, we can have an entire session for only testimonials, playing their videos over and over again. But don't worry, all of these testimonials are linked. So you can go there, you can get on this slide and actually watch them by yourself. Okay. Now let's consider this. Who is an agile project manager, right? A lot of people know who project managers are, but who is an agile project manager? Now, an agile project manager is someone I like to call a servant leader who helps the team to work effectively within an agile framework or environment, ensuring that the project delivers value to the customer through continuous delivery, adaptation, and improvement. Remember, full disclosure, I'm an agile project manager. So I'm going to wax very poetic about this role. But an agile project manager is a servant leader. You're in charge of managing the team to make sure you're not the one writing the code, you're not the one designing, but you're making sure that everybody gets the job done following the agile methodologies, following the agile principles, following the Scrum framework. Okay. Now let's use this example. Say you want to build a mobile application just like WhatsApp to enhance your customer engagement and boost online sales. Okay, let's consider 2 types of methodologies: the traditional project management or traditional project methodology, and then the agile approach, right? So if you are going the traditional route, it will take you probably 7 months to build, and then you have to carry out all of these stages step by step. Okay, you have to finish gathering all the requirements that you need for all the features, functionalities. Everything needs to be completed first before you can move on to the next stage. All right, it's like baking a cake, right? You have to bake the cake, you know, put your, what's the word now, flavors and, you know, red velvet, vanilla cake, double tiers, heart-shaped. You have to finish that before you can move on to icing the cake or designing the cake, okay? So now you have to finish the requirement gathering and then move on to design. And then you have to finish the entire design for the application from beginning to end before you move on to implementation. As you're doing all of this, time is already going. And once you complete a step and you move on to the next, you can't go back. It's like building, like I said, baking the cake. You finish baking the cake and you start icing it. You know, you put on the frosting and the sprinkles. You can't take off the frosting and, you know, decide to do something else with the cake again before putting back the frosting. You can't go back. So that is the way the traditional project management process would go. And it will take 7 months. But then if we're building this using the agile approach, right, we're going to have the sprint planning. And here we're going to now break the project down into small, manageable tasks. Remember when we're talking about our epics, we said, okay, let's build the kitchen first, focus on the kitchen before we move on to other rooms in the house. So just like that, you're breaking down this project into small, manageable tasks so that it can be completed in short cycles, which is your sprints, a cycle of 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 weeks. And then there's continuous development and testing. Features are developed, tested, and reviewed continuously throughout the project. We also have frequent releases. The app is released incrementally. So all of this is going to happen in 1 month. Let's use an example of WhatsApp. Everybody knows WhatsApp, you know. Now you see that every day, sometimes you wake up on WhatsApp, you see a new feature like forums. We never used to have forums. You know, 2 years ago, we didn't have forums on WhatsApp. You know, a few years back, we didn't have statuses. You could not upload statuses on WhatsApp. And that is a typical example of an organization that is working the agile way. They pushed out their products into the market, and then they are adding new features as time goes on. Recently, I was seeing a customer survey on WhatsApp. You open your WhatsApp, you see a pop-up saying, oh, we're asking a few people to take this survey. That is customer involvement. You know, you're trying to get feedback from your customers to know what are we doing right now that you don't like that we can do better. That is the agile way. Now, if you were going to build this same application, right, that's going to take us 7 months using the traditional framework, we're going to build it the agile way. It will take us 1 month. Okay, so now it's faster time to market. You can deliver value faster. And now let's look at the Agile Project Manager and Scrum Master Starter Pack here at Analytics, right? Everything to become an Agile Project Manager, this is everything you need to know. First, the first thing I would like to say is all of our courses here are from 0 to hero, so beginner to professional. Okay, so you're learning everything right from the basics. So you learn introduction to project management methodologies and structure. What are the different project management methodologies that we have? What is the structure? And when can I know what projects that I should apply what methodology to? Then you learn project management skills and communication. How do you communicate as a project manager? How are you managing your team? How are you communicating with the stakeholders, your internal stakeholders or your external stakeholders? You also be learning foundations of Agile and Scrum. You understand the Scrum framework. We'll teach you how to understand the Scrum framework. You understand the Scrum artifacts, the increments, sprint and product backlog. Now, what I gave you was a snippet. It's not something that you can actually cover in 30 minutes. I just tried to brush over it, but then you learn it in depth, right? You learn the advanced Scrum and Agile practices, end-to-end use of Jira and Confluence for projects. So not just knowing how to write user stories, but end-to-end use of Jira, end-to-end use of Confluence in projects. You know, you learn how to use Kanban boards for workflow management. You learn about the agile metrics that we have, reporting, velocity, burn up and burn down charts, you know, the different types of metrics that you can use to report to show the progress you're making as a team. You learn leadership and real world application. Okay, how to apply. It's not just the theoretical aspects. Now, how do you apply this in the real world, in an organization? You learn Nexus skills, Scrum, and finally, this training also helps you to prepare for your professional Scrum Master examination. So the tools you're going to be learning are Confluence, Jira, and Trello. This is all you need, okay? This is everything that you need to equip you. Our learning structure is we have live classes twice a month, 2 Saturdays in a month. And we have 2 classes, you know, to accommodate people that are joining us from the UK, from Europe, and from Africa. We also have another class to accommodate people joining from, you know, the US or for Canada, just to make sure that the timing is convenient for you. So 2 live classes, but again, we understand that we are all adults, okay? We are all adults. So it's very possible that even though we have 2 live classes, you might be busy with work or anything. And in that case, all of our classes are recorded so that when you are free, you can actually watch it in your own time. Now, the second thing is we also have what we call Watch Me Do It videos, right? Which are self-paced videos that have been recorded for you with a facilitator like myself, recording a video, explaining to you the concept, showing you exactly how to use these tools. So you can watch it on your own. You know, if you have any questions, you write it down and you take the questions to class. Your facilitator would respond to you because it's going to be an interactive class. You'll be able to actually raise up your hand and speak. You see your facilitator speaking to you. If you have questions, you can raise up your hand, unmute your mic and speak as well. Now, it doesn't even end there. We have what we call drop-in sessions weekly. So every week, there's a drop-in session, which is basically like a troubleshooting class, right? You come into the drop-in session if you have any questions. Bring your questions to your facilitator, and you get responses from your facilitator. If there's anything that you're struggling with, or you've been trying to use Jira, or you learned in class, or you're struggling with something, you can come to the drop-in session and your facilitator would attend to you. So that is what actually sets us apart here at 10Analytics, because there is that hand-holding. There's that human interaction. It's not just like you watching videos on YouTube. You actually have someone to ask questions. You know, you can ask questions if there's something you don't understand. And it doesn't end there. You also have a closed WhatsApp group where you're added. You have like-minded people like yourself, and you have your facilitator in that WhatsApp group. So if you can't even make it to the drop-in session, you can drop your questions on WhatsApp and your facilitator attends to that question. Also, the drop-in sessions are recorded. So there are sessions that you can always go back to, and you have lifetime access. If you have a class, you know, you do your class in 2025, in 2028, you still have access to those recordings, lifetime access, right? So we have two learning pathways for all of our programs, all the programs that we offer here at 10Analytics. We have the 8 months learning plan and the 12 months learning plan. Now, what is the difference? Here at 10Analytics, we actually partnered with a company, a reputable consulting company for internships, because this company is in the consulting space. They get a lot of live projects, real life case studies that then you can work on as an intern. So even though you're interning, you are gaining real world experience. And before I forget to mention, even all of our classes are project based. So you're in class where you're working on projects, real life projects that, you know, just because of data privacy policies, the names are redacted. So we just change the name so you don't know the organization that actually has that problem, but you're working on real life case studies. So even right from class, you're able to, you know, try your hands at things. It's not just theory. You're doing practicals as well. So for the 8-month learning plan, you have 6 months learning in class and 2 months of internship, right? 2 months of internship with our partner company, Diary. While for the 12 months learning in class, you still have 6 months learning in class and then 6 months internship. So the difference between both of them is, you know, obviously somebody that interns for 6 months and somebody that interns for 2 months. The amount of projects the person that interns for 6 months is going to work on is different from the amount of projects that someone who interns for 2 months is going to work on. So I want to hear our thoughts in the chat box. What do we think? You know, do we have any questions concerning this program so far? Do we have any questions? Put it in the chat box. I'm looking at the chat box right now. I'm taking questions, so just put your questions in the chat box. Do you understand this learning plan? Do you have any questions regarding that? So WULV says, so the 6 months is broader than the 2 months. Exactly. The 6 months is broader than the 2 months. Okay. If you have the opportunity to take the 6 months, you know, the 12-month learning plan, which is 6 months internship, you then get the opportunity to work on more projects than someone who works, you know, that joins the 2 months internship. So that is the difference. So I see that it is very clear. So now let us move on. Now, the beautiful part of this is that even when you take this course, after taking this course, you're not just boxed into one role. It's not like you can only work as an agile project manager. You can work as a scrum master. You can work as an agile coach like myself. You can work as a lean agile coach, an agile project manager, a technical scrum master, a scrum team facilitator, a lean agile coach, a project coordinator, a lean project manager, and so much more. There's so many different career paths that you can start upon completing this program. So you're not just boxed into, oh, if it's not agile project manager, I can't do it. You can become an agile coach. You can become a scrum master. You can become, a project coordinator as well. So now let's move on to business analysis. Who is a business analyst? Now, a business analyst is a professional who comes into an organization and analyzes the organization's business processes, the organization's systems, and stakeholders to identify improvements and solutions to business challenges. So they come into the organization, analyze the current processes. What is the current process? What are the customer pain points? How does things work right now? And how can I make it better? How can I improve these current processes? Let's look at an example. Let's say, for example, you sell handmade bags, right? And your customers have been complaining of delayed deliveries, incorrect order. Now, the current state, the business analyst has come into your organization, your company, your little company where you sell handmade bags, and the business analyst has been able to analyze the current state and map it out and say, okay, so the current state is that customers order by calling. They have to place a call to you to order. And then you have a staff that manually writes down the order and then scans through the notebook, tries to check the notebook to see if the item is available. Then the staff goes ahead to print the order details, then takes the order details to the store to confirm or check if the item is available, then picks up the item, then prepares the item for shipping. Oh, it's a very tiresome process, right? The business analyst has come into an organization and he has seen that this is what the process currently looks like. And it takes 3 days. This entire process takes 3 days. So then he or she proposes a better or optimized state, which is what we have here, the optimized or future state. And the business analyst proposes that, okay, how about we do it this way? The customer orders online. So that means we need to have like a website online so they can place their, or they don't have to put a call through and then maybe there's a missed call, the representative is not on seat at the moment and the person doesn't pick the calls or the person has to write down. How about the customer orders online? And then there is an order management system that receives the order and automatically updates the inventory. That's why sometimes if we're shopping online, you see 9 items left, 8 items left, because there's an ordering management system that has automatically updated the inventory. If it's sold out, you see it on the site, sold out. And then automatically it generates the order details. There's auto generation of shipping labels, and all it just does is to send all of these auto generated reports to the staff to pick up. And then the staff can just schedule pickup with couriers, and the couriers come to pick up the item and drop it off. And this new process takes 5 hours as opposed to the previous 3 days. So you see how the business analyst has been able to come into this organization, look at the current process and optimize it to make it better. So now let's look at what you need to learn, what you need to know to excel as a business analyst, what you would learn if you take a business analysis course with Tenalytics. Okay, so now before we used to just start from process mapping. So I'm going to be annotating. We used to just start from process mapping because this was the core, business analyst starter pack, process mapping. But now requirements are changing, times are changing. We're now realizing that global recruiters are looking for a business analyst who understands data, who has basic understanding of data. So what did we do? We then went to data analysis and then we borrowed some courses from data analysis. We borrowed Power BI, we borrowed Excel, and we borrowed SQL. These are data tools. I'm sure a lot of us know Excel, but Excel is more than just a spreadsheet, So we are teaching you, like I said, from zero to hero. You're learning your what's it called now? Your roles, what a role is, what a column is. So even if you don't have any prior knowledge, you're safe. you're even the most perfect candidate to join, because you're going to learn like we would teach a 2-year-old, pardon me, but you're going to learn like someone that is a layman. We're going to break everything down to you. You're going to learn Excel, from your rows to your columns to your pivot charts, your pivot table, etc. You're going to learn Power BI, the tool that we use to visualize data. So now you understand the data, but how are you able to visualize the data so that you can show it to your stakeholders? You learn Power BI, and then you learn SQL, what we call structured query language, the language of data. How do you speak to your data? You don't speak to your data like I'm speaking to you right now. So how are you able to query your data to get insights from that data? You do that using the language of data, which is SQL, and you'll also be learning that. So now we have borrowed those courses from data analysis, but we didn't stop there, because business analysis is actually very greedy. So we went ahead and borrowed some courses from Agile project management as well, which are these 2 courses. We have project initiation planning and Agile and Scrum for projects. So the Agile framework and the Scrum framework, the Agile methodologies, principles and core values of Agile and Scrum. We took that from Agile project management and we brought it into business analysis as well. So it's the best of 3 worlds. You're learning business analysis, you're learning Agile project management, and you're also learning some data tools as well, so you can understand data. And then we now move on to business analysis core, which is the software development lifecycle, requirements fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis, and engagement. And now everybody keeps talking about AI. Oh, I heard AI is coming to take our jobs. How am I sure as a business analyst I'm safe? I like to tell people, as a business analyst, AI is not coming to take your job. The people that know how to use AI are the people that are coming to take your job. So because of the advent of AI, we're hearing ChatGPT, we're hearing Gemini, we're hearing Meta AI. We also teach our students how to be able to utilize ChatGPT as a business analyst. So how are you able to utilize that AI? How are you able to use that AI to help you in your role as a business analyst? That is also something that we'll be teaching you as well. So, the learning timeline, the way the learning plan is structured is the same across all of our programs. We have 2 live classes in a month on Saturdays, 2 classes, 2 different timings for the class. So we have the morning class, what we call the morning class using the West African time, and also what we call evening class as well. So I can see a hand up. Please just drop your question in the chat box. I will try to attend to that after my presentation, or alternatively, you can make sure to fill the feedback form and ask your question, and I'll make sure to answer it, get it across to you as well. So we have, just a few more minutes left for this session. Like I said, some people joined us from Nigeria. I know it's pretty late. West African time right now should be, it's pretty late. Okay. So I don't want to keep us here longer than we should be. So the learning pathway is different. We have the 2 learning options, like the 8-month and the 12-month learning option as well. So just like adult project management, you are not boxed into one role. You can't only work as a business analyst. You can work as a process automation analyst. You can work in some roles as a data analyst, because remember, we took some courses from data analysis and we took some courses from agile project management. So you can work as an agile project manager, you can work as a data analyst, and you can work as a business analyst. Best of 3 worlds. If you remember when I was showing the testimonial of Lois, she took the business analysis program and she landed a role as an agile project manager. So it's tested and trusted, okay? They are actually real people that have passed through these processes and have come out on the other side, on the tech side of things. So you can work as a business architect, a process improvement analyst, requirements engineer, IT business analyst, and so on. Now, all of our programs come with internships to make sure your CV and your portfolio stands out. So this is a sneak peek into what, one of our business analyst portfolios, one of our students, what his portfolio looks like. Once you get the slide, you can go ahead to access the portfolio, see what this portfolio looks like. That is also something that will teach you how to do here. So we'll teach you how to build a portfolio, because your portfolio is your showroom. right? We've been talking about case studies, learning with case studies, but how are you able to show employers that these are the projects that I have worked on? It is true using your portfolio, and we'll teach you how to do that. Now, here at Analytics, there's something we call the job offer equation. It is called T plus E, the technical skills and the employability skills. Now, you're not the only person that's interested in becoming a business analyst or, an agile project manager. In fact, that's why a lot of people say, oh, but these fields are saturated. How are you able to stand out? It's not enough to just know how to be an agile project manager. It's not enough to just know how to write user stories. Oh, I know how to use Jira. That is not enough, right? So we have the technical skills, which are all the good stuff that I mentioned, or Power BI, SQL, etc. All of those are the technical skills. And then what we call the employability skills, how you can stand out in the market, how you can stand out from competition. And what are these employability skills? Now, we offer 8 services. The first one is the CV review and revamp. So we're going to teach you how to review and revamp your CV, to tailor your CV to jobs, right? To the requirements of jobs, whatever job that you're applying for. We don't revamp your CV for you. We teach you how to do this because we don't like to give people fish. We prefer to teach. They say, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. We prefer to teach you how to fish. Okay, so we teach you how to review and revamp your CV, tailor your CV to these job roles, because a lot of people, the mistake that a lot of people make is using one CV, just one singular CV to apply to multiple roles, which is wrong. Okay, so you want to be able to tailor your CV to every specific job that you're applying for because the requirements are different. That is a session that we offer. Now, we also offer what we call LinkedIn optimization. How are you able to optimize your LinkedIn? Now, a lot of times when recruiters want to put out job listings, before they put out the job listing, 9 times out of 10, they try to fill these positions by themselves. How do they do that? They go to LinkedIn. Now, that is something we do here at Analytics. We rarely put out job listings. We go on LinkedIn and we search for who we want to search for. So we do something called the Boolean search. We search for the role and the region that we're looking for. And then, we see a lot of LinkedIn profiles. We then look at these profiles and pick who we want, reach out to the person and say, hey, would you like to have an interview with us? So how are you able to also optimize your LinkedIn and position yourself in such a way that when a recruiter searches for an agile project manager in Texas or a business analyst in Texas or in Canada, your profile is one of the profiles that pop up. And then when they actually go through your LinkedIn profile, they are also impressed and they want to reach out to you. So you're not even the only person applying for jobs. Recruiters are also reaching out to you. We teach you how to do that as well. Now, the next service is what we call navigating the job market. Here we go out there, we bring in professionals in the industry. And not just professionals, we also bring people that have passed through these courses and have landed roles. Like people like Lois, for example. She took the business analyst program. She has landed a role. We bring them back to the classroom to come and tell you some of the mistakes they made when they were navigating the job market and how you can, avoid making those mistakes. You're learning from their experience. They come to you, they share nuggets of knowledge, just making sure that you are positioned well, you know how to attack the job market. And then the next service we offer is interview preparation. So now you have sent out your CV, and then you get a call back, you get an email saying, okay, we'd like to interview you. We'd like to schedule an interview with you. And all of a sudden you're nervous, okay? You can reach out to us here at Analytics. You can actually book a one-on-one interview preparatory session where you have a professional such as myself, conducting a mock interview for you to prepare you for the real interview. So the person would walk you through how to answer questions, the sort of questions that you should expect, just so that you go into your interview with all the confidence that you need. Now, that is not all. Employability skill number 5, the job reference letter. When we're applying to jobs in these, global markets in the UK, in the US, and also in Canada, these big organizations request for reference letters or recommendation letters. They want to know who you worked for previously. Can your previous employer vouch for you? Now, we always encourage our students here at Analytics not to say that they trained with Analytics, but rather they consulted with Analytics. So meaning you worked for us, you didn't train with us. So that way you can register us as your previous employer, and we can provide a
a reference letter or a recommendation letter to say, yes, Fatolu Peter worked with us and was an exemplary agile project manager or an exemplary business analyst, and he's who he says he is. We can vouch for this person. So we also provide job reference letters or recommendation letters as well. Next is on-the-job support. Now, this is a service that is not very popular because by the time most of our students are done with their 6 months and then they do their internship, they've worked on so many case studies. In fact, they go into the job very, very confident. But I understand that we are all different. We're different people. The chat box is blowing up. I'm even scared to open it, but I will take some questions at the end of the session. Okay, so we provide on-the-job support for up to 1 month after you get a job. So if you're not so confident, there are some, tasks that they give to you that you don't exactly know how to go about. Even after you've finished your program with us, you've started a job, you can reach out to us, and say, hey, I got this task at work. I don't really know how to go about it. Now, we won't do the task for you. Okay, we won't do it for you, but we'll provide guidance on how you can go about this. So that is a service that we provide as well on the job support. Now, number 7, weekly mentorship sessions every week. Now, this is tied really closely to the CV review and revamp sessions. Okay, now we've taught you how to review your CV, revamp your CV, tailor your CVs. You're applying to jobs, but then how are you able to stand out when you take interviews? Okay, how are you able to stand out? Because when you're doing your interviews, you're probably the 20th person or the 30th person that recruiter is interviewing. So how are you able to leave a mark, an indelible mark in the mind of that recruiter, so that you just stand out and they say there's something about Winnie and the way she answered questions. So we're going to teach you every week. We teach you different approaches to use to answer interview questions, like the SIT approach and the STAR approach. How can you answer these interview questions in such a way that your recruiters are impressed? They might not even remember what you said you did, but they're like, this Mr. Peter, I like the way he answered that question. So that is another service that we offer, and it happens weekly. And finally, last but not the least, up-up optimization. Now, this is for people that are not really interested in landing full-time roles and working with organizations, but they prefer to freelance, sell their services to individuals and corporations alike. So the same thing we do on LinkedIn for you, is the same way we teach you how to optimize your LinkedIn is also how we're going to teach you to optimize your Upwork. Position yourself to get these high-paying jobs that we are all looking for. Now, we have a lot more success stories that, time would not even permit me to go over. But once again, make sure to fill the form and, go through the success stories. They are all linked. Like I mentioned, we can have an entire 5-hour session only for testimonials alone, just playing these videos over and over and over again. So how do you get started? We have another cohort starting on the 8th of March, 2025. That is next month. We have a new cohort that starts on the first Saturday of every month. The next cohort starts on the 8th of March. Okay. Now, right now, we are running a slot-based discount. The prices are currently discounted. For you to go through the 8-month plan, meaning 6 months learning in class and 2 months of internship, the original price was $900, but it's currently discounted at $750. So that's 20% off. Right? And then for the 12-month plan, 6 months in class, 6 months internship, the original price was $1,200, but it is currently discounted at $1,000. And what's more, you can actually pay in installments. Again, we're adults. We have financial obligations. We have financial commitments. According to your capacity, you can decide to spread your payments. For the 8-month plan, you can spread your payments for as long as 5 months, meaning instead of paying $750 at once, you can pay $150 per month, okay, for 5 months. And then for the 12-month plan, instead of paying $1,000 at once, you can pay $125 per month for 8 months. So when you get the slide and you click on this link, it takes you to our enrollment center. It brings you here. Okay, and this is where you'll be able, here you can just scroll down, you can start a chat with Analytics. If you have any concerns, you can get access to all our program brochures. All you need to do is just scroll down. All right. Then you see our full training calendar also. You'll be able to see when the next cohort starts. But now, one thing that I neglected to mention is that our discount is currently slot-based, meaning it's not for a time duration, it's just for a limited number of people. So the discount is for the first 20 people to register for the March cohort. After the first 20 people register, all the slots are taken. And that means if you're going to register, if you're the 21st person, instead of paying $1,000 for the 12-month plan, you'll be paying $1,200. And instead of paying $750 for the 8-month plan, you'll be paying $900 US, full price. Okay, so now let me show you how to go ahead to secure your spots. Let's use the business analyst track 12 months. So when you click on 12 months here, it's going to open up this new page. Let's give it some time to come up. There's so many questions in the chat box. Now, the beauty of it is that you can actually select the currency you want to pay in. So if you're in the UK, if you're in the US, if you're in Canada, if you're coming from Ghana, you can select, let's use pounds for this. Let's use the British pound sterling. So once you do that, you now see the payments plan that you can choose from. You can either choose to pay £780 at once. That's the full payment, or you can spread your payments for 2 months, £390 for 2 months, or for 3 months, for 4 months, for 5 months, for 6 months, for 7 months, and also for 8 months. So if you want to spread your payments across 8 months, that means you'll be paying £102 every month for 8 months. So let's just select 8 months. Once you select 8 months and then you select secure your seats, it then shows you that you have £102 due today. You have £102 due on the 19th of March, which is exactly 1 month from now. You have £102 due on the 19th of April, exactly 2 months from now. £2 due on the 19th of May, exactly 3 months from now, and so on and so forth till you complete your payment. So you can start paying from now, from February up until September. Okay, and once you click on proceed, it asks you to put in your card details. And once you're done with all of this, you want to come back to the main stack page here and click on upload your receipts. So you take a snapshot of your receipts after payment, you upload it here, and immediately a rep from 10 Analytics will reach out to you and put you in a program. Now, also when you're making payments and uploading your receipts, you get the option to defer your program. So if you have commitments for March and you can't start in March, but you want to start in April, you can actually signify that I'm paying right now, but I want to start in April. You're paying to secure your spots, because if you pay as low as $150 or £102, for the 12 months plan, you have actually secured your spot. So what this means is in March, whether the discount is over or not, whether the prices increases, you have no problem because you secured your spot with the discounted price. So you actually have the option to select when you want to start. You can either start in March or you can start in April as well. Okay, so let's come back to this. Remember, the discount is for the first 20 people to register. So when you actually click on that link, it's going to show you how many seats are available. You see something like maybe 9 seats left, 8 seats left, 7 seats left. So you want to make sure you're part of the first 20 people to register. Okay, make sure you're part of the first 20 people to register. Now we have a lot of achievements, a lot of resources linked to the slide. So when you get the slide, please make sure that you go over it in your own time. Now we have 1 more minute. Let me check the chat box and try to take some questions. Okay, so Daily says, is there any training duration shorter than the 2 mentioned? So no, currently we do not have any training duration that is shorter than 6 months. Now, this is because before we used to have 3 months and 4 months, and we got feedback from our students that, it's too fast paced, especially because they're working, they can't, it's not like you're in school, like you are able to come to class every day. So we try to space it out for 6 months. to accommodate that. So we do not have any training duration shorter than that. Sam says, does BA go with PM or it's just a loan? So the business analyst course is just a loan, but because we borrowed some courses from project management and data analysis, you're learning 3 things. You're not just learning how to be a business, you're learning data tools, and you're also learning Scrum and Agile for projects. So you can proceed to work as a business analyst, as a data analyst, or as an Agile project manager as well. Casey says, do you train the business analyst and Scrum courses separately? Of course. So those are 2 separate courses, okay? Agile project management and Scrum Master is 1 course on its own. Business analysis is another course on its own. So they are separate courses. Blessing Richard says, my question is, how many months is for cybersecurity? I have zero knowledge, zero idea about tech and how much. So all of our courses are the same price, okay? And all of the courses are they span across the same timeline. So 6 months in class and 2 months internship, or 6 months in class and 6 months internship. Casey says, do you provide on-the-job support when your trainee gets a job? 101%. Yes, for as long as 1 month after you get the job, we provide on-the-job support. So if you get any tasks that you don't understand, you can easily reach out to us and we'll provide guidance on how to go about that. Let's see. Excel is broad. Oh, you are so right. That is Fatolu Peter. Exactly. Excel is very broad. Excel is more than a spreadsheet. And the beautiful thing is you're going to be learning everything you need to know about Excel, every single thing. So it's not just using it to do spreadsheets. Oh, put this. You can actually use Excel to build your pivot table, your pivot charts. You're going to be learning how to do that as well. Are they paid internships? So I'm not exactly sure what this, are you saying you don't want to take the training, you just want to take an internship? If yes, we have that option available, but we always encourage people to try to take the training, because when you go into the internship, nobody's teaching you. They're assuming, for example, you're going to the internship as a business analyst. They're assuming you have knowledge of Power BI. They're assuming you know how to use SQL. They're not teaching you. They're just giving you case studies to work on. So nobody's going to hold your hands there. Nobody's going to teach you how to do these things. So it's always better you go through learning first, making sure that you have all the knowledge before you move into the internship, so it's not wasted. Okay. And the prices that we offer, for training and internship is the total package. So when we say $750 is for training, internship, employability skills as well. Okay. So you're not paying anything extra outside of that. So Samuel says, what time does the classes start? So the classes start 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. So you can convert that depending on the region you're joining us from, whether the UK. So if you're joining from the US, right, we have another class that goes for 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. You can also convert that and then pick which of those classes, which of the time is suitable for you, and then you can join. Winnie says, on-the-job support is a very good one. Of course it is. So I will not be able to take all of our questions. Okay, so please, we're out of time. We're 3 minutes past. So just make sure to fill the attendance form. Okay, it's not too late. Fill the attendance form. You're going to get a recording of this session. And also, you're going to get the slides that I used for this as well. So at this point, I'm going to say, enjoy the rest of your day. If this is afternoon for you, and if it's nighttime for you, have a wonderful night's rest. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was a wonderful session. I hope you were able to pick 1 or 2 things from this session. And do not forget to secure your spots using the discounted price, okay? So you don't have to pay the full amount. Shaving off $200 of, $200 US is a lot of money. So you want to take advantage of that discount. Now, thank you, everyone, and, bye for now.